Hello, everybody. I haven't talked in a while today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the RISC Chip performance. Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am going to perform the entire RISC Chip album front to back using the original gear that I recorded the music with. Really perform it the same way that it was recorded, which is all live sequence from Tidal. A little bit about the album. It was released in December 2016 on Conditional. I think all the vinyls sold out, but I've got a few copies, so connect with me and I can get you set up with that. Not that shipping is very easy right now, but we can figure it out. Yeah, so let's see what else to tell you. Hey, if you like Tidal, if you are a user or fan of Tidal, the live coding environment, please go to TidalCycles.org and consider contributing to the development effort there. You can donate on a one-time or regular basis. So go to TidalCycles.org. So the performance today, I'm going to try and stay true to the tracks with some embellishments, I guess. But I'm going to try and reproduce them as best I can, including one of the bonus tracks, which I honestly haven't really heard in a long time until I started practicing with it. And then after, I'll stick around and depending on if anybody's got questions about it or wants to chat or whatever, we'll do that on the source code and the stream export. I'm going to export the stream to YouTube, so all this will be available after too. And hopefully the internet connection will not die in the process. So, all right. So without further ado, here we go. RISC Chip.
thinking machine laptops. I'm talking about the 686 prototypes with the artificial intelligence RISC chip. I get to keep the equipment when we're done. Talking about the 686. I don't know. Just don't know. Just don't know. Just don't know. Crypto. Machine. I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 686. Just don't I'm talking about the 686, I'm talking.
686.
Toast. 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 Thinking machine laptop. I'm talking about the 680. I'm talking about the 686. 686 prototypes. The artificial intelligence RISC chip. 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 RISC chip.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. That was RISC Chip. Hope you enjoyed. That was a blast. So, yeah, like I posted in the chat, the vinyl copies for RISC Chip are sold out unconditional. Feel free to pick up the digital there if you like. Otherwise, just type it here. Posted it in the chat, but go to kingdom.bandcamp.com and you can pick up the RISC Chip vinyl there as well. So, that's it. Thanks a ton for tuning in. If anybody happens to have questions or wants to know anything about the production of this stuff, I'm happy to stick around. I don't know how easy it's going to be to really do a demo because the setup's pretty hardwired for just performance. But anyway, I'll stick around for a while here and it's kind of cool off a bit. The last part was fun. Yeah. I should mention I've always wanted to actually perform this whole thing, RISC Chip in its entirety, but never really found a good way to do it. There's just too much gear involved to bring anywhere. So kind of in our live stream world right now, it worked out pretty well. So what is RIP? That is a great question. RIP is the best ever. Let's pull back the curtain here. Let's get rid of the set list. So I've got my file of functions here. Let's find RIP. All right, so this is a big pile of stuff. So RIP is a function that just takes, what does it do? It actually it uses the stut function, this is like so many layers of things going on here. So RIP original, this has gone through a number of iterations over the years, but it uses stut. And basically, if you just take a basic RIP, it is doing, what is it doing? It is stuttering 8 times, reversing it, and it's stuttering at the rate of a 16th of a cycle divided by 8, so super fast. And I've also got a probability here of this SSB as sum cycles by. how often is the probability. So in this case, the basic RIP function is doing this original RIP 50% of the time. It's doing a super fast gap of the stutters, and it's stuttering 8 different events and reversing it and slowing it. And then I've got a couple variations on that. So RIP2 will actually stutter it faster, divide by 16. So it's a 16th of a cycle divided by 16. Whoops, don't mess up that code. And then I've got this RIP Orig Prime, which instead of, so the RIP Original will only do that reverse stutter from the second quarter to the third quarter of the cycle. RIP Original Prime will allow you to pass in the length of the cycle you want to RIP. So RIP 3 and RIP 4 are those. I can, in this case, RIP 3 and RIP 4 are stuttering the entire cycle 8 times, 50% chance, and either 16th divided by 8 or 16th divided by 16. So these are just some helper functions to kind of get that RIP effect. Let me do a little kind of example here so you can hear it in isolation. If I come up with a hokey example, let's speed this up a bit. Let's put some more stuff in here. So if I do RIP 0.5, that will 50% of the time apply the RIP function. Yeah, so it's basically like, it's like stut by, presets for stut by. That's a great way to kind of think of it. So all I'm doing is saying, do this kind of stutter effect 50% of the time. So I bake the probability right into the function. I can specify the probability, and I don't bother messing with the parameters. It's just fully baked in for me. Yeah, highly recommend doing stuff like that to just have pre-made functions ready to go that you like using. It's super easy. Any other questions that anybody had about what you saw? Anything else? We're still going. I'll stick around as long as you want. This has just been a fun time. I'm like super happy people tuned in. This is great. So thank you so much. I think there's a lag on the chat, so I'll just kind of wait a sec. I should talk a little bit about the hardware. So I don't really use this gear very much anymore. I kind of have a hard time bringing myself to part with it for moments like this. Obviously, I've got the father of Looncore. Yes, that's great. So the Electron Analog Rhythm is the main drum machine doing most of the drum duty. I've got a Korg Minilogue for most of the like sharp stab sounds that you heard. The Erebus is doing most of the bass sounds. A lot of the kind of the lush arpeggiations and so on are all the Erebus. And for one of the tracks, I also use the Volca Keys for some arpeggiating as well. So the next question, changing presets and kits. So on the rhythm, I've got, not that you can see it very well. Let me turn that off. Hey, look at that. So on the rhythm, I've actually got taped down here. I've got my cheat sheet of track names. So I have on the rhythm, you can do a quick change with these buttons of which kit you want to select. So for this set, I've got 6 different kits I was using. So I can do a quick change there. The Minilogue also has just a quick knob to change the presets. I've got, you can't see it here, but I've got written down on some paper the preset numbers on the Minilogue to change to for each track. The Erebus and the Korg Volca Keys there are no presets at all. So I had to live patch this Erebus a few times, and I had some patch notes on what to change. A real big headache, but it sounds really amazing and it's worth using, I think. So, but it's really hard to do that kind of patching live. The controller above the Erebus is a MIDI fighter twister made by a company called DJ Tech Tools. It is a fantastic MIDI controller. It's an array of 16 encoders that spin around continuously, and it's programmable, so you can have each knob assigned to a different control change number. So I'm using this controller to change just the levels of all 4 synths, as well as a reverb send. That's all I was using this controller for. Yeah. This paper. I don't know. What is paper? It's paper. I suppose I could have typed this out, huh? Yeah, so this Erebus, it sounds just amazing, but it's really tough to change the sounds live. Oh yeah, photos. That's a great idea. In particular, the Erebus has, for the one track, I think it was Lake Effect for the bass sound. I've never been able to reproduce the bass sound on the recording ever. It's the same synth, but I can't figure out how to get it to work here. Let's see. Hello? It's hard for me to hear. I've got my mic going and I've got my live audio, so I don't want the feedback too bad. Oh, whatever. I'm not going to bother showing this. But yeah, this the Erebus is just, it sounds great, but it's really hard to do anything live with. Analog note taking, yes. Yeah, so Erebus really tricky. The Volca Keys, same thing. I only use the Volca Keys for one thing though. Look, I'm very thankful that the drum machine it's basically digital control and digital presets to save and load patches, which makes it really easy. When I have performed some of this material live in the past, I've tried to export everything as samples as best I could. I've sampled the Erebus, I've sampled all the drum sounds, I've sampled the stabs on the Minilogue, and it doesn't sound the same at all. But it works for live. But it's just too much gear to carry around live. How to make that beat at the beginning? Was it the which beat was it? For 32-bit Falcon? If it's Hypertrap, I'm guessing maybe you're thinking of Mint. I don't know. Let's you tell me. Let's load up Falcon here. So is it this beat? Is this the one you're talking about? Sorry, there's a delay in the chat. So if the question is, how did I make that? I made the code very easy for me to make changes with today. The original code I used does not look exactly like this, but basically, if you look at the bass drum pattern here on line 13, oh wait, you are not seeing this, are you? Let me make this a little bit less. There we go. It was a bit simpler. Okay, maybe it wasn't that one. Let's talk about Mint then. Maybe it was Mint. Oh. Wrong tempo. Where's our tempo? There it is. So maybe it's this one. Yeah, so this is basically using the drum machine. And on the first, it's basically a stack of different patterns here. On the first line, I've got my kick pattern, which is basically a kick drum note played once every 5 quarter notes in a cycle using this curly braces notation. And then I repeat it 10 times. I've got this rep function, which is a shortcut to repeat something once every 3/8. Yeah, so I've got this custom function called rep, where I give it a number of times to repeat, and I'm just using the stut with function to repeat it, and it stutters every 3/8 notes, or every 3/8 of a cycle. So if we just isolate this kick drum, G is my mute function, by the way. So that's the kick drum. It's just repeated 10 times. It's only triggered once every 5 times 20. I don't know how to explain this. I'm dividing a cycle into 4, but I'm playing it every 5 notes. Every 5 quarters of a cycle, but then dividing by 4, so it only plays every 4 cycles, and then I'm repeating it by 10. So anyway, you get, it sounds like that. Then I've got this is the clap on line 56, MIDI note 3. And every 3rd cycle, I'm just moving it over by an eighth to give a little bit of variation. I think this is the snare drum. So I'm just literally playing MIDI notes. This is like just using the pattern to press notes on a MIDI keyboard to play the drum machine. With a snare pattern, every 5, I'm moving it over by a quarter just to give it a little bit of variation. And the next pattern, it's the hi-hat. And this is just like brute force programming. 8, MIDI note 8 is the closed hi-hat, 9 is the open hi-hat, and I'm just kind of making that pattern. This is the cymbal, which is just played every 10 cycles. I'm sorry, it's MIDI note 10 played every 8 cycles. But it is a pattern broken up into 5. And then last is the cowbell, played every 4 cycles. This is the mute function. Yeah, it's like a phased Euclidean kind of thing. I've got a few different patterns that are all kind of wrapping around each other a little bit. I would never write code like this anymore. I would instead probably use Euclid notation and stuff like that. Thanks, Alex. It is a nice, fun pattern, isn't it? I like it too. Okay, the mute function. So the mute is, I name it G. The original name was GTFO, and it is const sound rest. This is the mute function, and I named it G for short, just as an alias. But GTFO is a little more fun to use. Mint chip. But yeah, this is the mute. So basically what this does is it takes a pattern P and then it just overwrites it with a sound pattern that's just a rest. That's all it does. So it cancels out any event that's being used. A lot of folks will do a mute function like not a lot. Like gain 0. Instead, the problem with gain 0 is that it does not actually, as far as I know, maybe this has changed in Tidal, but gain 0 will not stop any of the events in the pattern from being computed. So if I have, a complex pattern of stuff, gain 0 just mutes it. It reduces the audio to nothing, but it's still consuming CPU to calculate that pattern. Whereas if you do const sound tilde, it will completely replace all events in your pattern, and it will, I assume, save some CPU. Yaxu might have a better explanation of what's going on under the hood there, but Lake Effect beat code. Yeah, that's fun. Thanks so much for sticking around, everybody. This is fun. Okay, Lake Effect. So change my preset on my drum machine. So I've got, let's move we got some drum variables here. I'm going to move those closer to the drum pattern. I'm going to put my headphones on too so I can hear better. Hey, I got the mute explanation correct. There's a big latency with the audio in my headphones. I can't talk right because I can't hear myself. I'll just talk less or something. Okay. So this beat, I've got a stack on my drum machine pattern, kick pattern, tom pattern, snare pattern, and a hi-hat pattern. So here's the kick, a couple toms. Very important to have the reverb on that high tom. Yeah, I've got to make dinner, so I'd rather do this. Okay, so kick pat. Snare. There's our snare. It's a cymbal. Hi-hats. Okay, so I've got my drum pad patterns defined as variables, which are all up here. Now, this is not how you would typically code title stuff, but just to make the code organization easier for me, this is how I did it. So the kick pattern, let's just play the kick pattern. Let's mute everything else. Oops. And I have old code here where I could be using the mute function, but I'm not. Okay. So this is the kick pattern. That's all it is. We'll add the snare in, which is just a backbeat. And the tom patterner is a tom pattern. I'm having such a hard time talking with this headphone latency. Anyway, tom pattern. That's more the fun stuff. Here's the toms. So the tom pattern also includes a cowbell and a little rim shot sound. Oops. So let's just play the tom pattern. So that's this right here. It's just triggering different MIDI notes. Then the hat pattern, let's put that on its own line. So the hat pattern is a little more complex. Let's put it all in a few lines here. So hat pattern is this, the main pattern is this one where it's playing the closed hat for 4 events and then an open hat for 1. And then the whole thing is sped up by 2. Then in this when mod, I do a triplet instead of the 4. And then in another when mod, I do 2 triplets. So this when mod const will, it's not exactly a fill, but it completely replaces the pattern. So I'm just varying up the hi-hat pattern that way. So that's the main pattern here. We'll see which one it does next. Now it's doing this one. Now it's doing this one. So it just constantly changes in the background. But the real fun part is the bass tom. Yes. Okay. So I've got a fill, which is this code here on line 47. I've got 6 closed hi-hats for the first quarter of the cycle, 6 more closed hi-hats, then a clap, and wait. Oh, I was wrong. These are open hi-hats. 6 open hi-hat. I can't. This latency is driving me nuts. 6 open hi-hats, 6 more open hi-hats. Then on the second half of the cycle is a closed hi-hat with a clap. Then this is the big bass drum. Yeah, bass drum, bass tom, and the cymbal together. So this is the fill. So we can just play the fill by itself over and over again, I think. Oh. Oh. So that's the fill pattern. So down in, when I'm performing this, I play the fill every 8 cycles. So every 8 const fill. And how did I do that? I think I deleted the code that mutes these other parts every 8 cycles. So that ensures that only the fill is heard. So let's try that again. Let's put that code back. So we'll do every 8 mute. And I have other mute code that mutes parts just kind of randomly. So yeah, every 8 cycles on the hat pattern, it will play the fill, and every 8 cycles on every other pattern, it gets muted. So that results in only the fill being heard every 8 cycles. Yeah. That's a good question. That was a lengthy explanation for that one. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Glad you like it. So I've lost my original code now. I can't use this file again. Let's see if I can get it back. That's why we have version control, right? Because I'm going to perform this so often. Got to get it back. Yeah. So this is how it was performed. And then in the middle of the track, I have the fill only, which just plays the fill every 8 cycles. Otherwise, there's nothing that gets played. So this code just plays the fill every 8. Wait for it. Yeah. Any other questions? By the way, this I'm very pleased that this setup worked, because you can't see the production behind the scenes, but I've got a giant tripod on a floor tom for the overhead cam, and it's very tipsy. I'm glad it didn't fall. And anyway, I won't bore you with the streaming details, but lots of technical fun. So, all right, if there's no other questions, maybe we'll wrap it up. So thanks so much for tuning in. Always happy to share info and stuff in addition to performing. So it was fun. Yeah, so feel free to reach out anytime. If you've got questions about Tidal or about how the music was made, go to kingdom.com. I've got my email address there. Other ways to contact me. Happy to help out. Happy to help you get started with TidalCycles if you're new. Or answer any question at all about this stuff, gear or anything. So just, yeah, happy to do so. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Had a blast doing this, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll be doing this exact same thing again at 9 p.m. and looking forward to that. So, all right, we'll see you next time. I'll probably, I guess tomorrow's Saturday, so maybe I'll do another Q&A tomorrow morning stream. Keep that regular thing going. So tomorrow, probably 9 or 10 o'clock Central Time, Minneapolis time. And maybe see you tomorrow morning or afternoon for some of you. So thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. This has been fun. Hope to see you all in person sometime. I miss seeing everybody. So take it easy. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.